Hello, and
Hello,
welcome
hello, hello, hello.
welcome to yet another learning cohort by the product folks. This
Yes.
time we have something new coming up for you. For those who were with us few weeks back, we did product-led growth. Last year we did Insurjo and product analytics, and this time we are back with Gen AI Rush. I definitely hope all of you are as excited as us as we kick this off. I can see a lot of reacts and chat. Abhay, how are you feeling about this cohort?
All well. Pretty excited for this one. Yeah, generative
Amazing,
AI, come entirely, new field, new technology. Pretty excited for this one.
amazing, folks. As we get started, please put it in the chat. Where do you live? Where do you come from? So that we
Yeah.
get to know uh, where is everyone from. From Bahrain, SF, Bangalore, Nigeria, India. Wow, we have a pretty diverse crowd this time. Chennai, Punjab, Prayagraj, Delhi, Ahmedabad. Wow, that's
Texas,
amazing. Texas,
Varanasi, Mumbai,
Hyderabad,
Assam.
Mumbai, Bhubaneswar. Amazing. You are definitely in amazing
Super diverse,
company as
super
well.
diverse. Yeah.
We have folks joining in from some of the best companies in India and outside, like all of you. And
Yeah.
in terms of geographical location as well, I think we have a pretty diverse crowd among ourselves. So super happy to see everyone coming in to learn together on a Saturday evening. Can't thank each of you more. Will definitely make it worth your time. So let's get started. First of all, before we even begin, huge shout out to all our partners. This entire series is co-powered by Nexus Venture Partners and the Product Force, and we have amazing partners like Airmeet, H2O.ai, Llama Index, Microsoft for Startups, Postman, Rephrase AI, WorkHack, and WeWork Labs. We definitely couldn't have pulled this off without them. So huge shout out to each one of them. If you'd want to know more about these companies, we'll have some of their founders joining in upcoming sessions as well. So you'll get to interact with them. And this is Product Folks. For those of you who are hearing about us for the first time, we are Asia's largest product management community. We started in May 2019, so we recently celebrated our fourth anniversary. We started it with a small offline event in Bangalore. From there on, we took things from there, built this into an online community. We did a product summit, we launched community fun, did tons of different initiatives around learning and education, like a lot of you would be aware about. But here's a quick snapshot of how our 4 years have been so far. Abhay, how has your journey been?
Super amazing, yeah. Back in 2019, we started with a single event in Bangalore. It was offline, and since then we have picked up both offline and online spaces pretty well. Many of the folks who are probably joining for the first time, if you do not know, we do many of the good things offline also. That's why we asked for which city you are coming from. We'll reveal those details also as we go forward with the cohort. But pretty excited for this one. Super excited 4 year journey that we've had so far. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah, the love from the community has also been pretty good so far. Since day one, everyone across the community, right from the people who come to the community for the learning purpose, to the people who are senior leaderships across startups, across companies, who have always helped us organize events, always supported us to do more such learning events for the community. Very thankful for all of them, and because of all of the supports, I think we are here today.
Absolutely, totally agree with Abhay there. I still remember when we launched the Gen AI cohort. If you go and check it on Twitter, we have more than 2,000 RTs, probably similar amount of likes and as many number of comments,
Yeah,
similar stuff on LinkedIn as well. So without your
yeah,
support, this definitely wouldn't be possible. So thanks again for all the love that you showcase to the community. It reflects in our numbers as well. We have such a huge family on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We have a newsletter as well, and we have been helping people with opportunities and transitions too. So
yeah.
if you aren't connected to us in any of these platforms, this is the best time to do so. We have different kinds of content, different types of resources, and some memes on Instagram as well to keep you entertained. So make sure that you connect with us and we have been hearing great feedback from some of our members about these learning cohorts that we do. But we are a completely volunteer-driven cohort, volunteer-driven community. So if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to make this better for you. Right. So thanks again for all the love that you show us on social media and otherwise as well. But like we said earlier, welcome to Gen AI Rush. This is our brand new cohort where you learn all about generative AI. Because this is a skill that will be super relevant for you as you chart your career ahead, irrespective of where you are in your career right now. It is super crucial for you to at least be aware about all the new things that's been happening in this space, right? So people who have joined us from previous cohorts, you will know what the challenge is. But Abhay, for those who are joining in new, you want to talk about what's the Gen AI Rush challenge?
Sure. So throughout the entire cohort, there will be multiple tasks and multiple assignments that you can fulfill, you can do, and there are different set of prizes that you will be winning once you finish those challenges or uh, 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 excuse me, you finish those assignments also. There are multiple sets of prizes or the rewards that you will be receiving. First is obviously swag kits from the TPF delivered right at your doorstep. It's a pretty exciting swag kit that you will be receiving from the TPF side, from our side. Second will be the Swiggy treats that will be specifically given to those who finishes the assignment. You are in for the treat, and getting some desserts, getting some pizza, getting some burgers, or probably whatever you like, right at your doorstep. Second, for specifically for the buildathon that we are going to do, there will be separate reward structures there that will come. But you can also win ChatGPT Plus, Midjourney, and other AI tool subscription as well. Nowadays, I'm pretty sure as you have joined the cohort, you are aware about ChatGPT, Midjourney, OpenAI, and all of those tools that are pretty much on a daily basis everyone uses. So we will be providing free ChatGPT Plus and other subscriptions to people who participate and win these challenges. Yeah, and for sure you'll be some of you will be able to get the academy access also after the cohort ends. Yeah.
So, folks, like Abhay said, participate in the challenge. So the very base of the challenge is that you need to, every day after the session, you need to share your learnings on Twitter and LinkedIn using the hashtag LearnWithTPF and tag us at the product post so that we can know that you are sharing your learnings on social. And we'll select the best few notes from every session and we'll give these treats that Abhay shared. So, lots to win here, lots of incentives for you to take notes, learn with us together, and win exciting prizes. And talking about prizes, we'll have a lot more of it as we talk about the buildathon as well. We'll talk about it just in a bit. But before that, wanted to give a huge shout out to all the volunteers who helped in pulling this off. So you see us on the screen, but there is an army of volunteers working super hard day in and out to ensure that you all have a great learning experience. So in case if you spot them on Twitter or on Slack,
Yeah.
please thank you because they do this selflessly in a volunteer-driven way. So please make sure that you thank them as well, right? And as we talk about the GenAI Rush cohort, what to expect? Abhay, do you want to talk a bit more about what can everyone expect from this cohort?
Sure. So Gen AI is a new field and entirely new technology that has now become more sort of a daily use in 2023. And there are multiple aspects to it, multiple tools, multiple learnings that we can have within Gen AI. So what we have tried to do with this cohort is that every one of you will be able to learn majority of the tools or majority of the technology out there in a very simple, very layman language, layman term. There will be multiple workshops where people will be able to teach you some of the AI machine learning basics or maybe chat GPT and open AI basics as well. And there will be some of the tool-based workshops as well, where you'll be able to learn some of the tools out there available in the market, how exactly to use, what is the best way to use. And all of this will be live. As Aditya mentioned, the entire cohort is live, where you'll be able to learn from the experts across the globe. And yeah, along with the cohort, as everyone is learning in the same platform here, there will be networking sessions also, engagement sessions also, where you can learn from each other, you can talk to each other, maybe partner with each other, and maybe build a program or build a side project or something. That's also something that you will be provided with. And post that, we'll also try to have a certain mentorship and the job portal as well, post the cohort and post the buildathon. Yeah.
Amazing. And like Abhay said, we have world-class mentors joining in to teach you everything about Gen AI. So you're in good hands. We have Sudalai, Nils, Surbhi, Ashay, Akshat, Paul, and Ravi with us. We also have, you also might have one or two surprises for you in these 2 weeks. So watch out for them. But you are definitely in great hands with these mentors.
Sure.
They'll talk about their areas of expertise, and you'll get to learn tons. But this is a 2 week cohort, and the way it will be structured is we'll have live sessions on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I know 3 live sessions a week is a little bit too much, but we don't have as much time. We need to catch up with new technologies as fast as possible. So we have tried to make this like super action packed 2 weeks for all of you, and I'm pretty sure that you'll like this as well. As always, we'll be live streaming on YouTube. So in case if you want to catch up with a live session later, you can go check out our YouTube, and that's where you'll have access to all the session. But they'll be live only for a limited amount of time. So make sure that you don't miss too many sessions. And we'll, like I shared, we'll have some networking and engagement sessions as well. We do offline events across more than 20 cities in India. So I see that a lot of you are from common cities, and we'll definitely try and plan some AI-centric offline meetups as well for all of you, right? And here's the roadmap. By the way, you'll have access to the knowledge base as well. Tanmay
Yeah.
from our team will share it for you, but share it with you. But you'll also have received it in your email. So that's where you'll have all the details that you need to know about the cohort. But here's a quick glimpse into the roadmap for the next 2 weeks. Like you'd see, we start from the fundamentals, but we keep diving deeper into the world of AI. And by the end of it, we'll hope that you are well equipped with the fundamentals, and you can hopefully use Gen AI in some way at your work as well, right? And awesome. Does we have a fun surprise along with this cohort as well? This is something that we have never done before, but no other cohort would have benefited from something as nice as a build-a-thon, right? So this is going to happen offline in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So folks, if you want to learn and then build, this is the best opportunity for you. We have prizes worth more than 6 lakh rupees. So lots to win for. And please, all your ideas are welcome. Tanmay will also share the link to register for the Gen AI Buildathon, but you'll find it on our website as well. So if you are in for the buildathon, make sure that you sign up with your team, invite your team members, submit your ideas, and we'll have an offline buildathon on 29th and 30th of July in Bangalore. It will be a 24-hour buildathon. So make sure that you come well equipped with all your learnings from the cohort so that you can build amazing products. And like I shared, 6 lakhs worth of prizes and lots more in credits and other stuff as well. But the winner gets 2 lakh INR, the first runner up and the second runner up will have a lakh and 50K respectively. But there's a prize pool for the remaining teams as well. So for the rest of the teams, we have an amazing prize pool of 2.5 lakh rupees. But more than the money, more than the prize amount, I think the build-a-thon experience in itself will be a great one for all those who are planning to learn AI and apply it in their careers, right? So yeah, everyone who wants to know more about the build-a-thon, check out our website. Check out the link that we'll share in chat here. I think Tanmay did some time back, but we'll keep sharing it again. so that you have access to it. And now,
And just
without
just want to just want to reiterate a bit that this is a bit different from what we have in a normal online cohort. This is the first time that we will be having a buildathon after the cohort. That whatever you have learned during the cohort, you can actually put it into practice. You can actually put it into your own project and actually present it in front of the jury. And yes, for people asking, is it paid or free? Completely free. Happening in Bangalore. In case you are not in Bangalore, we'll surely recommend you to travel because it's going to be pretty big. Happening on 29th of July. So if you have not registered, do register it. Do participate. Do submit your ideas, and cannot wait to see you there.
Absolutely, folks. I see a lot of comments and questions about the buildathon and the series as well. Don't worry about it. You'll get to know everything, all the details from us either via email, or we'll spend some more time after the session to answer your queries. So don't worry about that. You'll find everything that you need to know. And without further ado, the session that we are here for today, we have Sudalai Rajkumar, or SRK, a popular acronym, SRK of the AI world, I must say. He's leading the AI and ML team at Gropian. He has over a decade's worth of experience in this field, having worked at amazing companies like H2O.ai, Freshworks, and lots more. And he's not only an expert, but he's an active angel investor in multiple AI and blockchain companies. And another very interesting, I was pretty much shocked hearing this fact, but another interesting fact about SRK is that he has achieved the prestigious title of Quadruple Kaggle Grandmaster, an honor held by only 5 individuals worldwide.
Across the
So
world.
you
Yeah.
are definitely in a great company, and no one better than him to teach us the fundamentals of Gen AI. So please welcome Sudalai. He'll be with us on stage in just a minute.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here we go.
Hi
Sudalai,
everyone.
how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks a lot, Aditya and Abhay. How are you both doing?
You're
All
doing
right. All
amazing,
right.
and thanks so much for your time, Sudalai, for coming and spending with us. We know how valuable your time is, but can definitely say that Cohort is super excited to have you here. You'll
I'm
be seeing a lot
pretty
of effects.
I'm pretty excited as well. Like say, wonderful to be the part of this session. Yeah, and
Amazing,
I see a
amazing.
lot of comments and love from people. So yeah, hi everyone.
Amazing, amazing, folks. I know you'll have tons of questions for Sudalai. So throughout the session, make sure that you listen carefully, take a lot of notes so that you can share it after the session. And we'll also be pinning Sudalai's social handles here so that you can follow him and you can reach out to him after the session as well, right? So make sure that you do that. But before we begin, we have a small poll that we'd love to do so that we get to know what kind of audience we have, right? So Tanmay, if you could make the polls live. Yeah, just the poll will be live in just a few seconds. But until then, Sudlai, would be great for the community to know a bit more about you. Please feel free to share your screen as well. But yeah, both of us will be around, and we are personally super excited to learn from you as well today. And you're
So
probably the best person to
To
talk about
start on
Gen
a lighter
AI.
note, I think someone just pointed out that Sulai has a AI in the name itself.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much told everything about me, so I really don't have much to add over there. But as you rightly mentioned, right? So I'm super happy to help anyone like with any questions during the session and after the session as well. Like say, please feel free to reach out through any of the social handles, and like say, would be happy to answer any questions that you can have. And like say, as you already mentioned, right? So being one of the person who was regularly attending hackathon, so this buildathon was so tempting for me, like to take part in it. And yeah, I would also love to see a lot of projects that are coming up. And in case if I could be of any help for people, like do tag me, and I would help in the way I can. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I also see that the poll is live right now, so folks, please go on to the poll screen on Airmeet, and that's where you'll be able to see uh, the voting options. I'm also sharing it on the screen, so we see a lot of people voting right now. I see engineering winning this race, as always in most of these cohorts. But but great to know the so Sudlai, we have a healthy mix of engineers, product, and then product
Design.
is next. Yeah, design, GTM, and others too.
Mhm.
Great,
Nice, nice. That is good to know. Yeah.
amazing. Over to you, Sudlai.
Yeah.
Over to you for the session. Both of us will be around, and we'll have some exciting questions for you
Sure,
after the
sure.
session.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I hope you are able to see the screen, right?
We're able to see the screen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot. Um, yeah. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I know it's a Saturday evening, so a lot of you might have other plans, but yeah, this is this. I'm sure like you'll learn something out of this one, so I'll make sure of that one. So yeah, firstly, thanks to product folks and Nexus Venture Partners for this GenAI Rush and inviting me to be a part of this journey. So I'm super happy to be the part of this one. And in today's session, right? So we'll be looking at. I know. I mean, say a lot of people are from engineering background, and like there are a lot of people from product background and others as well. So this session is a overview or introduction of generative AI. So what we will do in this session is like we'll first try to understand uh, the generative AI and in general like first about how AI has evolved over time and what is generative AI and so on, and then like we'll try to see how generative AI is used in NLP, specifically the large language models that we are currently using, like ChatGPT or Claude or things like that. And then like we'll also briefly touch upon how generative AI can be used in images, the diffusion models, the mid journey that Abe was talking about. And then like once we have the basics, then we'll go slightly more deeper into the large language models. So here we won't go into the technical details per se, but we'll try to understand how the training is done and why the GPT models are working the way it is currently. And 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 like say we also want to use these gen AI models in our day-to-day life, so to create some new products or to create features out of the products. So for with regards to that, like we'll be looking at some of the considerations and limitations that we need to take care of when we build these I mean when we build features using gen AI. And finally, like to like there will be a sample application, so it's around document search. Say we will get to understand how we can build a very simple application using GenAI in about 60 lines of Python code. Yeah, that's the agenda for today's session. Hopefully like we'll be able to cover it in 40-45 minutes. That's what I'm aiming for, but let's see. Cool. So yeah, let's start with the question. So if I see that a lot of folks are engineering people as well, like so, this might be a good question. So what's your favorite programming language? So feel free to type it in the chat.
A lot of people are saying Python, probably 80% of the folks. I see
Okay.
some C++ and Java as well, but Python clearly seems like the winner.
Okay, okay. As expected, say great. Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, so if you ask me as well, like say I would say I would have said Python, like, but now the landscape is changing. So if you I mean say it's not just me. So even Andre Karpati is currently leading leading AI efforts at OpenAI, and like the currently the hottest new programming language is English. So like that's why there is a Gen AI rush, so aptly like named by product folks. So I mean say though like we know a lot of programming languages, currently the landscape is changing in such a way that if you know like English well, so we can interact with LLMs and get the lot of codes that we can use for our day-to-day life. So that's what I wanted to make a statement on. So there is a rush now, like that's because of this new programming language. So yeah, let's get back to some of the basics. Like firstly, we'll see how this space of AI has evolved over time. So like the AI is not something very new. Like it's been there for decades. Okay, so like from 1950. So if you look at it, so 1950 was the time when Turing test came into place. Like it was by Alan Turing. So here, like this is about like finding out whether something that has been created by a system so is indistinguishable from the human behavior. So that's what we are trying to estimate using the Turing test. And from then on, like even the term AI was coined in 1956, and then like even at that time there was a hype around AI. So I mean, but that was like say using very small neural networks of probably one or two neurons at that time. But then there was a big AI winter during 1970s and 80s, and then like in 1997, like IBM Deep Blue, like it was able to won against Gary Kasparov, the former chess champion. Then there came the IBM Watson in 2011, and then like Apple introduced Siri, through which like we can talk to the phone and get things done. So in 2012, and we would have heard about AlphaGo by Google in 2016. So which beat the former, I mean, say world champion in the Go competition. And then like currently last towards the end of 2022, like we are now in the GenAI part. So which is the OpenAI, the ChatGPT was released by OpenAI, which led to a flood of new applications being on top of GenAI. So this is a rough idea of like how AI has evolved. So AI is not something new; it's been that from 1950s. What I wanted to tell. And like okay, let's start with a very basic. What is GenAI? So GenAI, right? So GenAI is nothing but generative artificial intelligence. So it basically describes all the AI algorithms that can be used to create new content. So the content can be anything. So the content can be like text, images, audio, and videos. So like if I look at AI, right? So I've been working in this field for past 14, I mean 13 plus years now. So like normally like when we build something like an AI algorithm, so what we do is there will be a set of variables, and using that features, right? So we tend to classify like using an AI algorithm. So basically like say if there's an image, so we would be able to classify whether this image is a cat or a dog or something like that. Or if there's a set of customers, like we would like to I mean, say segment them into different buckets so that we can do something on top of that one. So it's not really generative so far. So it's more around classification, segmentation, regression kind of algorithms. So this new breed of algorithms, GenAI algorithms, so they are able to create new content like never before. So this content could be text, images, audios, and videos. So as I mentioned, so having said that, like currently there are two main things. So one is GenAI in NLP. So NLP is nothing but natural language processing, which is processing text mainly, or even speech as well. Like here, this is where LLMs come into play. Like LLMs are large language models. So language models. So what's a language model? So language models are mostly deep learning based neural network models, and primarily like the currently most of them are transformer architecture based one. So transformer architecture is a architecture in like a deep learning model. So it's a type of deep learning model, we would say. So these models are trained on vast amount of text data. So generally these models are trained on millions or billions of words. Almost like say the entire internet corpus, we would say. So these are trained in such a way that it can generate human like text. So I mean, the very common example that we have seen daily is ChatGPT, or even the bot by Google, and so on. So here, like we give an input text to the large language model, and we get an output text from that one. So that's a very common thing. So in addition to the output text, from the large language models, we will also be able to get numerical embeddings out of it. So this is nothing but a vector representation. Say if we have an input text, say which is a paragraph or something, then using large language models, we can also create vectors out of it, which we can use for further downstream tasks. So it's not just output text. but we can also create vectors out of that one. So that is about language models. So language models, so it's called as large language models because generally the models that we are currently using are really large in nature. So they have around billions of tens of billions of parameters easily, and trained on multiple GPUs. So that's why it's called as large language models. And so due to this, right, so due to this, like we give an input text to the large language models. That's how we get an output. So if you look at traditional AI algorithms, so the output that comes out of the AI algorithm depends on the input features or the input variables. Similarly here, the output that comes out of the large language model depends on the input text. So this input text that we give to these large language models play an important role. And that's why there's a new subfield in GenAI called prompting or prompt engineering. Probably you would have heard, has come into existence. So like people are also giving more importance to prompting because, like, say, if we have a proper prompt, then we will be able to get desired outputs from these large language models. So that's about prompting. So if you look at prompting, right, so I mean, everyone of us would have done prompting. So if we have used ChatGPT, whatever we type in to the ChatGPT is the prompt that we give as the input, and it generates text out of it. So there are like two main ways, or at a high level, there are two types of prompting. One is by instruction. So where we give an instruction to the model. So say something like write a mail to the customer asking for a feedback about the product that he has been using for the last 1 month. So probably that's a prompt. That's an instruction that we have given to the GenAI model, and the GenAI model will come up with a mail something for us. Or it could be something like write a Python code to get the prime numbers. So that's another prompt. So I mean, which we can give to the model. Like here, like we are giving an instruction. We are just specifying what the model needs to do, and we are getting back an output from that. So that's prompting by instruction. Similarly, that's a prompting by example.
So then, like one small question here. A lot of folks are asking in the chat if you could maybe give an example of a vector output or explain that a little better.
Okay. Vector output, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. So vector output is nothing but a number. Say like it's a bigger number. So basically, say if there is an input text that we give, say what's your name? Okay, for example, a very simple one. So then like it passes on to the large language model. So like at the end of the large language model, so we generally convert that to an, I mean, say text and gives an output text. So here, like we'll cut it before the output text, and we just get the numerical representation that is present inside. So it would be like, say, some 100-digit number or a 200-digit number. So when I say vector embedding, so it's nothing but, say, for an input text, so it is represented by a 100-digit number. And we'll also see that some vector representations further down the presentation, so we'll get a much better understanding there.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So like, yeah, coming to this point, right? So prompting by example. Like, so the second way is prompting by example, like where like, say, in case if you are using ChatGPT for a different use case, so which it was not trained on, or like, say, it's not understanding the description that we are providing. So then what we can also do is, like, we can also provide some examples in our input prompt itself. So along with the description, so we provide an example one followed by a stop sequence. Stop sequence is nothing but, say, you can use something like a double slash, some stop sequence that we can use, and then example two, then a stop sequence, and then further, and finally ask the question that we would like to ask. So by providing examples to the model, like, we are making model to understand that, okay, so this is the way we expect the output to be, or like this is how this problem needs to be solved. So that is another way of prompting, where we give an example and get an output out of it. So these are the two high level prompting techniques. There are multiple techniques through which we can do the prompting. So yeah, we'll see some of them at the later stage as well. So this is generally like GenAI in NLP. So like now let's also see like the GenAI in the image part. So So like in the NLP, like when we give an input text, so we get an output text or a embedding out of it, right? So here in the image, so we use diffusion models. So mostly like the models like Stable Diffusion, DALI kind of models. So they are based on this concept. So where most of the times that we provide an input text and we get an output image like this. So in this example, so I provided an input text to a Stable Diffusion model here. So beautiful pine forest with a river. So and automatically like it was able to produce this output image with pine forest and river flowing in between. So yeah, and like say similar to ChatGPT, so there is also a really good demo that is available in Hugging Face for free for Stable Diffusion. So like you could play around with your own input text and demo over that. Like that will, I mean, we can get a good understanding from that. So here again, right? So what's happening inside, like how are we able to get this very good image for this particular input text that we provide? So I mean, so if you look under the hood, so what's actually happening is these diffusion models, the Stable Diffusion model and all, like removes noise from the images. So basically what happens is when we provide an input like this painting of an alien playing a guitar in the style of HR Giger, like so for the Stable Diffusion model, along with this prompt, there is a random noisy image that has been sent to this particular model. So like this model then runs in iteration, so to remove the noise. So like so as to bring the picture, I mean that's I mean that has been given in the input description. So as we can clearly see the progress over here. So here the noise removal is done in 50 steps. So this is the very first step where it has taken a complete noisy picture, and then like say at the end of 20th step there is some mild outline that is coming up, and then it's better in 30th, 40th, and when we reach the 50th step, so we got a really good image output from this model. So this is an iterative model, so where it removes noise, and then finally we get a good I mean image out of it. So this so yeah, that's about the Stable Diffusion models. So yeah, I mean, say if you would like to go into details, so there are some references that are provided towards the end. So please look at them. So you'll get a much better understanding of how this is being done, like in a step-by-step process. So, but at a high level, so this is how it's done. So we take a random noisy picture, these models, and then like try to remove the noise and get the image out of it. So that's also a reason, like if we run the same like prompt or the input text again and again, we will end up with different images. That's because the initial noisy image that is taken at random will be different. So that's about the GenAI images. So that's mostly the introduction part. So now we can dive into LLMs a little more deeper to understand how it is working under the hood with an intuitive understanding and not much on the technical side. But before that, like Aditya, any important questions that you would like me to cover or something?
No, Sudalai,
Or
it's all good. I
okay,
think there are a couple of questions, but what we'll do is we'll park them towards
sure,
the end of
sure.
the session so that we can
Yeah,
take
yeah.
them together.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. Sounds good. Thank you. So now, like, yeah, we'll dive a little more deep into large language models. So, from an understanding of, like, say, how are LLMs doing better now, right? So, probably these models are there for quite some time, but we'll get to know like what makes them better now compared to what it was previously. So, to understand that, like, we'll take a step back and first really try to understand what these NLP models are like and how they are probably being trained. So like okay, so from the NLP models evolution is like say initially if you are building some models on top of text, right? So it was very basic thing. So what we generally do is like we take a raw text and then we take a bag of words. So bag of words is nothing but we count what is the number of times this particular word occur in that particular text, and then we put the count over there. So it's just counting the words, and then we build some machine learning models on top of them, say something like a very simple regression model, logistic regression, or a decision tree. So that's how it was initially. So, but understand that, like say, when we do this kind of things, right? So there are huge shortcomings. So, for example, if we do sentiment prediction, and there are a couple of words. So one is happy and one is glad. So if our model has not seen the word glad in the training set, so it won't be able to predict that. So it won't know that like happy is, I mean, glad is same as that of happy. That is because the bag of words is just doing a counting part. So in order to make such models work, we really need to train the entire model on all the words that is present over in the vocabulary. So that's kind of really hard in a supervised fashion. So then we move to a word vector based approach. So when, I mean, say, when I mentioned about embeddings, right? So this is how an embedding will look like. So if there is a word like cat, so like it's represented in a vector format. So some, in this case, it's a seven vector. So seven values, vector with seven values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like this is a vector representation. So here what's happening is, say, like in this word vectors, so like these individual words like cat, kitten, dog, houses are represented in a vector format. So thereby, like we can get to know that words that are closer to each other are also closer in this high dimensional space. So if we plot this seven dimensional vector in a 2D space like this, so we can see that cat and kitten are closer to each other, while dog is at a farther place, while houses is much farther than this entire thing. So like when we, I mean, say, this word vectors are again trained in an unsupervised fashion on the entire internet corpus. So like so we get to understand like all the words and the relationship between all these words as well. So for example, using word vectors, we can see that man and woman are related to each other, king and queen are related to each other, and so on. So here, like when we moved from bag of words to word vectors, so we got an understanding of the similarity of the words. So and so the words which are similar are clubbed together, and so on. And like on top of word vectors, we can build deep learning models and then do NLP using them. So this is how it was in late 2010s. But again, here again, right? So there is another shortcoming if you look at it. So here each of the word is represented with one vector. So if we have a word like apple, so apple could represent a fruit, or apple could represent an organization. So we won't know what apple means. So we'll get to know like about the whether it's a fruit or an organization only with the context of the nearby word. So if we have the entire sentence or an entire paragraph, then we'll get to know, okay, so this is representing the fruit, or this is representing the organization, and so on. So that's when like this context vectors come into place. So which is also being used in transformer based models or in any of our GPT based models as well. Like where instead of the individual word, the entire context or entire sentence or entire paragraph is fed, is converted to a vector format. So for this entire sentence, there is this vector representation here. So this is the context vector. So which is then used to do further a decoder. So it couldn't be used to create a new text, or it can be used to do classification, and so on. So this is how currently it's being done. So from bag of words, we move to word vectors, and now to context vectors, where in addition to the word level information, so the models, these deep learning models, and also understand context information as well. So okay, so now we understood this transformer based models, right? But these transformer based models, like they are also not new. So they are there for now close to 5+ years. So from the initial transformers paper. So what has changed in the last 1 year or so, so that like the outcome that is coming out of models like ChatGPT or Bard is really good. So like we'll look under the hood to see what is that happening inside in a, say, GPT models training process. So the very first part in the training process is pre-training. So like all these ChatGPT models are the Claude A or Bard model, right? So the very first step is a language, the LLM model pre-training. So how is this done? So this is done so to predict the next word in a sequence. So like these models are trained using the entire internet corpus to predict the next word. So given a set of words, right? So here the best thing about LLMs is its ability to So if given this set of words as the input, like what's the next word that will come out of it, and then it will try to predict a set of words. So like ability to generate has a higher uh, probability of coming up, and ability to predict has the next highest probability of coming up. So some random words like cat or dog has the very less probability of coming up. So after this words, so this is how it is trained. So we take out, I mean, we take the internet corpus and we chunk them into sentences, and like say at each sentence, so we'll try to have first initial few words and then try to predict the next word, and then move that and then try to predict the next word and then try to predict the next word. So that's how this word prediction is being done. So like if you look at LLMs, so these LLMs are nothing but say a word prediction machine in a crude sense. So it tries to predict the next word at a time. And that's why so like if this most of these models are not really very good at say some of the reasoning or numerical tasks, because it's just mostly trying to predict the next word based on the probability of that occurrence of the word in that it has seen in the internet corpus. So that's a core idea. So again here, right? So if we give this sentence as such, so if we always take only the top word, so it's going to be the same thing again and again. So it's in spite of like anything, so we'll always get generate as the top word if this is the input text for that LLM. So we also have some features like or some parameters like temperature. If you have used ChatGPT model, so we have a temperature parameter, so which we can vary. Like if we have a high temperature value, what happens is it won't just pick the top word, but it will take the top few words and pick one of the word at random according to its probability distribution. So that way, like I mean, for the same set of input sentence, so we might end up getting a different second, I mean, next word. So that's how it operates. So like that's why like if you use GPT based models API, so having it set as very low temperature value will produce the same set of words again, while if we have a high temperature value, so it will produce words at random. So like that's the initial step in training a GPT model. Like when if we go to the next step, so again like we have now trained this GPT model on the entire internet corpus. So the next step is supervised fine tuning. So why it is being done? That's because like if I mean say once this training is done, now we ask this large language model a question like what is the color of the sky. So that's the input text that has been given to the LLM model that's done the pre-training part. So like since this has been trained on the entire corpus, right? So it could come up with different answers. So it could come up with an answer like the color of the sky is blue, or it could also come up with an answer like, I mean, it's not really an answer. It could also come up with the next set of words as what is the color of the sun, depending on where it picks that information from. So if the large language model tries to extract the information from a query bank, so it will come up with this one. While if it's an actual answer, it will come up with this one. But as a human being, like we will be more interested in this answer rather than this answer. So that is when this supervised fine tuning comes into play. Like what is happening here is, so we have a human annotated data set, so has a pair of questions as well as answers. So like on top of which this large language models are trained again. So after the initial training part, so then a supervised fine tuning is happens. So where like there will be a pair of demonstrations, the query as well as the correct answer for that particular query, and then like these LLM models are fine tuned. So at the end of this step, right? So our models would learn that okay, so if there is a question, so we need to answer that with a question. So we should not give another question as an output for that particular question. So this kind of information is being learned in this step. So then again here again, right? So if I mean now it's good. So but still like if you have a question, something like say how to make biryani, say for example, so there could be multiple answers. So like that I mean people in even in internet there could be multiple answers. So some of them could be very elaborate, some of them could be very short, and some may be even wrong as well. So like we need to identify which answers are better than the other answers. So that's why there's a new reward modeling step that comes in next. So like at the end of supervised fine tuning, so we will be able to get the answers out of it, but then like there could be multiple answers that come out of the large language model. So like at this step, so what happens is we give a prompt, and then large language model is made to do like multiple generations for that one. So and like then a human annotator would annotate this one as like this is a much better answer, so I'll rank them as 1, this would be ranked as 2, 3 and 4 and so on. So if there are multitude of answers, so like the human annotator will rank all these answers, so that I mean the model get to know like which answer is better than the other answers and so on. This is especially important because like there are a lot of other toxic answers and like not so I mean say profane answers that are present in the internet, so which needs to be removed, and like say we need to be shown only the good answers and even the correct answers. So that part is like imbibed in this step. So the first part is reward modeling, where the human annotators rank order these answers, and a separate model is trained, whereby like when LLM generates an answer, so this reward model will be able to give a score for that one. So it gives a score of say probably 85, then it's a good answer. So if it gives a score of 10, so then it's a bad answer. So some that kind of reward modeling is being done here. And finally, like the reinforcement learning piece comes into play. So like with the help of this reward model, right, so whatever that has been trained, so the language model is trained again and again, so that we get a reward from this reward model. So we get to know like what's the uh, reward, I mean what whether it's a right answer or wrong answer, and then this is fed back into the language model through a reinforcement learning process, and it's and again we get the final model at the end of this step. So okay, yeah, this part is a little bit math oriented. So but the overall idea is using the reward modeling, the reinforcement learning is done with human feedback to improve the model further. So at the end of all this training process, right, so now we not only get a good answer, so which comes with the supervised fine tuning, but using RLHF, we are also able to rank order and get the better results at the top. So that's how like, so even though the language models like BERT and Robota are there for like close to 5 years now, so the GPT kind of models are able to do a much better job compared to the previous versions of the models. So that's the overview of LLMs. Okay, I will just stop you. Okay, great. So that's like that's into like how we can I mean say how intuitively like ChatGPT is doing a better job compared to the previous generative AI, I mean Gen AI models or the transformer architecture based models. So now let's I mean say look at some of the considerations and limitations that we need to take care of. So as an engineer or like say as a product person or a design person, so like if you're building products on top of these LLMs, or if you are building and features using these LLMs, so these what are some of the considerations and limitations that are there with respect to these models, and like say we need to overcome this, or like while building the products we need to have them considered. So well, very basic, some of the basic ones are say like we need to take care of the ambiguous inputs to the model. So as I said, like depending on how good our prompt that we give into the model is, like say that's how the output will be. So if we have an example, right, so something like create a tag for this following paragraph. I really like the phone, the camera is very good, it feels very light, the sound quality could be better. So this is a review. So like if you just give a very ambiguous input, like say create a tag for the following paragraph, so it created a tag phone review. Then if you repeat the same question, it created a tag technology review. So here like we could be a little more specific about it. So like we could mention things like say create a tag for the following paragraph, and like say and the tag could be one of the following, so and provide the set of tags as well. So if the inputs are ambiguous, then the output that we get out of the model will also be ambiguous. And so other one is ambiguous outputs per se. So like here we also mentioned that, like I mean, say the same example, but here we ask the model to give us a sentiment score, and also between 0 to 10, where 0 is negative and 10 is positive, and also the top contributing words, like what are all the top words for that particular review. So initially it came up with this good answer. So I repeated the same question again, but then it also added an explanation part towards the end now. So what it means is, say, like at times the output that we get out of these LLM models, so it need not be constrained. So it can give some ambiguous outputs, or some outputs that is not may not be decided as well. So in this case, like I don't expect an explanation out of it, but it gave me an explanation. So if we have this in an engineering pipeline or a product workflow, right? So this might affect our pipeline. So we need to be careful about these outputs as well. And again, so the other one is inconsistent results. So if we kind of use the same question again, so I mean, and especially for things like this, so give a sentiment score between 1 and 10. So same question of last one, so it gave me a sentiment score of 8.15. So I again asked the same question, so it gave me a score of 7.5. So I repeated it, then it gave me 8, 9, and it was like quite inconsistent. So like we need to be considerate about this one. So depending on what type of application we are using it for, so I mean, we should be really considerate of, like we let's I mean, not using this kind of prompts, so that we don't end up with having different scores for the same input query. And then, like, this is a really big problem. I'm sure like a lot of you would also have experienced this one. So hallucinations versus factuality. So like I asked a question of, please let me know about Andre Karpathy. So I mean, most of these experiments are done like this week only, so it's on the latest version of ChatGPT, I would say. So yeah, mostly on ChatGPT. I did not took it to other models. So please let me know about Andre Karpathy. So it really gave a really good answer. So like I was pretty impressed at the start. So it gave everything about him in the first two paragraphs. So I was quite good that, like, it did not hallucinate. But again, suddenly in the third paragraph, right? So it gave me a couple of research papers that he has written. So like I mean, I thought, okay, so this is good as well. But then I went and checked this one. While this one, right, the second one that it gave me, like it was written by Karpathy, but this first one was by the other people, Jeff Hinton, Elias Square, and Alex. It's not even by Andre Karpathy. But okay, so like having said that, right, so if you get an output like this in our application, so it's extremely hard to find out that this whether this is correct or not. So we need to be really careful about the hallucination effect that these models have. And to my other surprise, if you look at this one, so like he is also the author of popular deep learning framework called Keras. Okay, and there are multiple hundreds of, I mean, there are hundreds of contributors to Keras. So I went there to check. But the main author is Frankai Kole. I'm not too sure whether Andre Karpathy actually contributed to that one. So, but yeah, hallucinations is a very big problem. So especially if we get some factual information out of these large language models, right? So we need to be really careful in our application. So we need to double check that factual information before using that in our products or applications. And then another thing we need to be careful about while integrating the LLM models is privacy information. So where here, like I asked the LLM model to write a mail to uh, some name Adam and with PAN number and DOB and everything. So I just gave it, and then like it in the mail as well, like it use all this information to create the mail. Say if you are using LLM model for any kind of work that involves a PA information or HIPAA information or something like that. So either we need to redact that information and provide that to LLM models, or we need to be really careful about this information not being leaked to even the person itself or to other people. So we need to be careful on the privacy part. And again, so the another important consideration is performance, latency, and cost. So like if you have used the GPT model, so I'm sure like most if you are using it like me, like for most of the time, so at least multiple times you would have seen this window like ChatGPT is at capacity now. So like these models are huge, and as a result, like the perform I mean sometimes they may not be available depending on which APIs that we are using. So we need to take care of performance and the latency and how we can integrate that into our product. And another thing is the cost aspect of it. So I mean it's good to do some simple POCs using that, but say if you are to integrate that in a real world application, right, especially in an application like chats and all, so like it can easily use like say tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, like this Latitude company. So they were creating some fantasy stories based on some input prompt, and all of a sudden, so like their OpenAI bill came out to be like $200,000. So like especially if we are a startup working using this LLM, so we need to be careful about the cost part as well. So then reasoning and arithmetic computations. So this is another area. So as we saw, like these GenAI model, this LLM models are trying to predict the next word in a crude sense. So that's what it is good at. So if we can't really expect them to perform really well on the reasoning or arithmetic computations, so we need to be really careful if we are using that during that. So I mean, this is kind of looking silly if you look at it, right? So I asked the is the number of characters in the word prime. So it's able to understand that. I mean, it's able to do the first reasoning part. The prime word consists of 5 characters, but it also says that it's not a prime number. 5 is not a prime number. But okay, when I asked like what are the first 5 prime numbers, it gave us 5 as one of the prime numbers. So yeah, it's not really that good at reasoning. So either we need to provide something like a really good prompt, something like a chain of thought prompting. So using which, I mean, say we can ask it to think step by step and come up with an answer. So thereby it's able to provide a much better answer. So this is but a serious consideration as well. And this is a well-known one. So knowledge cutoff, like at least the ChatGPT model is trained only till September 2021. So if you ask about any information about 2022, like or any of the new products or any of the new things that happen in 2022, so like we won't get an answer out of it. So this is the case for any other LLM models as well. So depending on when the cutoff is till which it is trained, so that is used. So, I mean, all these examples so far that we have seen is for illustration purpose only, to understand like what are all the limitations and considerations that we need to take care of while building some applications. Uh, so okay, so having these limitations, right, so what we can do is like we can use the other tools that are available in the ecosystem to overcome some of these limitations and considerations that we saw in the previous slides. So as we know, like if you look at these large language models, so there are multiple APIs. Some of the famous ones are OpenAI, Cohere, Anthropic, Hugging Face. Using these, people like will get a LLM APIs or LLM models out of that, and then like we can I mean say some of these considerations how we can overcome is like we can use a better prompting or prompt engineering. So there are multiple advanced prompting methods like zero shot, few shot, chain of thought, like where we ask the LLM model to go like in a chain of thought process and then give an answer. Self consistency is more like ensemble learning in machine learning, if you know. So basically like repeat the same question again and again and get some multiple answers, and whichever has the highest number of votes, use that. So similarly, like there are other techniques as well. Like if you want to look more into advanced prompt engineering, prompting guide is a good place, like where we can learn more about the prompt engineering. So using prompt engineering, we would be able to overcome some of these limitations or considerations that we have seen in the previous slides. So some other things are say like some of the times, so our document could be like really big, so we can't really put the document in and use it directly. I mean, in the context of the LLM model and use it directly. So in such cases we can use vector databases. So these are databases where the text, we convert that to an embedding that we saw, right? So we convert that to a vector and store it in the database, in a vector database. So what happens is whenever we want to access, so we use the vector database to get only that particular relevant information and then provide only that relevant information to the LLM model. So yeah, we'll also see an application next, so we'll get to understand more there. And then there's an orchestration layer. So like I mean, say we can if we use something like a vector database, so first we need to query the vector database, get the answer, and then provide it to LLM models and so on. So this orchestration tools like Llama Index, I think Ravi will be talking more about it later, LangChain, ChatGPT. So all these tools can be used for the orchestration purposes. Uh, and then there are others in the ecosystem as well, like Hasho.ai has an LLM studio. So in case if you are looking to create your own GPT model, right, or a LLM model. So like most of the enterprises don't want to use the third-party APIs and want to create their own API. So we could make use of a tool like LLM Studio to do that one. So if you are worried about something like the latency cost, if you want to measure like how much are we paying and like what's the latency and so on. So observability tools like Portkey would be helpful over there. And then like for the inconsistent outputs, like if you want a consistent output, we could use tools like Guardrails AI or even Microsoft Guidance. So they will help us linearize the outputs that we get out of the LLM models. So this is the LLM ecosystem. So like I'm sure like when you build your buildathon, like when you build some projects on top of this one, so these are some of the ecosystem tools or some of the areas that you need to look into to build sample applications. Now, okay, yeah, we
So, then, like,
can.
just a small thing here. A couple of folks are asking what is orchestration. I think the third tab
Oh,
that you had.
oh,
If you
okay.
could maybe share a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So probably I'll show it in this sample, right? So that I'll talk about it here. So basically, like what is this? So like now I'll showcase a simple demo application. So like in case if you have some questionnaires, right? So some documents about your particular product or about particular, I mean about the code or about your particular company. So like how can we build a simple application using LLM where we can query that particular query about that particular product or a particular company and get answers out of it. So that's the demo application that we will briefly see. So here, like there are two steps. One is the initial step. So where we create a vector database out of all these documents, and then the final step where like an end user will query and get the outputs out of it. So here, like what's happening is a when there is a set of documents, like since these documents will be very long, so we can't really input the document to LLM model and get output of it. So we make that document into smaller chunks. So chunks is nothing but say if a document has 10 paragraphs, so one paragraph is a chunk. So we'll split that document into multiple paragraphs or at sentence level, and then using a LLM model, like we create that embedding. So this is the second part. So we from a LLM model we can get either a text output or an embedding output. So we get an embedding output and store that embeddings in a vector database. Okay, so like now like when now we have all this information about that particular product in our vector database. Now what we can do is like whenever there is an input query, when someone comes in and searches about, ask a question about that particular product, so what happens is the input query like goes to the LLM embedding model, and we get an embedding from this. Embedding is nothing but a vector for this particular input query, and this is passed to the vector database here. So like what vector database will do is like for this particular query, so some simple query that we are asking, say if this is about product folks, what is product folks? So it will go to the knowledge base of product folks and get the top three results like that they have with respect to this, and it will provide the top three results from the vector database. So then this top three results will be combined with the input query, what is product folks, and then this is passed on to our LLM model like ChatGPT. So ChatGPT like can't handle the entire document. So we just took only the portion of the document that is relevant from the vector database and combine it with the input query and pass it on to the LLM like ChatGPT. And this ChatGPT will now be able to get an answer and provide the output result to the end user. So this part, right? So this part of like getting the input query, first providing it to the LLM, I mean embedding model, and then this embedding model getting the output and then providing it to vector database, and then once the results come from vector database, I combine it with input query and giving it to LLM, and then finally getting it from LLM and giving it to output. So all these things are done by orchestration tools. So like that is where these tools that I mentioned, like Llama Index, LangChain, and nowadays even ChatGPT function calling itself will come into play. So we can make use of tools like this to enable us do all these actions in a much simpler fashion. So that's what orchestration does. Uh, is that, hope that was helpful, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's about like this is how a sample application can be built. Okay, so this looks a bit more tedious, I would say, but if you look at the code, right, so that's actually even simpler. So I'll quickly show a code. So, but I think you could also share the code link, Aditya and Abhay. So the GitHub link.
Yeah. Tanmay will just share it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So probably you can also pin that on. I don't know.
Yeah, we have pinned it in the chat.
Sure.
So
Great. Yeah. So I know like we are at 9:15, so I'll probably quickly. So like what you could also check this. So I've made it public. So and also this is forked and modified from one of the LangChain tutorials. So this is a very simple one. So whatever we have seen in that diagram, so that's actually happening in this 60 lines of code, so which is well formatted. And I also saw that a lot of people mentioned Python, so I think most of you would be able to uh, read this as well. Like initially we are making use of the OpenAI model as well as the vector database that we mentioned there. So we are using a Chroma vector database here, and we are using LangChain for the orchestration part. So like this is the function that actually does everything, so that we saw in that diagram. So once we upload, I mean say first, the very first part is upload a knowledge base file. So this part uploads the knowledge base file, and then we split that file into multiple chunks are like considered as words. So in here 1,000 words, and then put this create documents out of these 1,000 words. So each 1,000 word is a document. So and we create an embedding here. So we create an embedding and storing it in the Chroma database. So here we have stored that particular thing in a Chroma database. So now we are using that database to get the top results out of it. So and here we are using a OpenAI. So we need to provide our OpenAI API key. So if you use like we could also use other LLMs as well here. So and we provided a temperature of 0.1. So this makes sure that the answers are coming from directly. I mean, say it's not randomly creating a creative answer. So most of the answers are coming from the document that we have provided. And so this LangChain provides a really good function called retrieval QA. So using which, like whenever we run a query text, so we input a query, so it will run all these steps that are mentioned there in the like diagram. So I'll probably show the diagram as well, and we get back the output. So this line 39 to 60 is just a front end. So like using Streamlit, like how do we create a front end application? So like okay, so I'll also stop sharing this, and I'll probably share my entire Google Chrome. So yeah. Okay, great. So that code, when I ran that code, so this is what has come up. So just that 60 lines of code, right? So probably like this can be done for any product. So I created it for my local, say for our company growth in FAQs. So like just I took everything from the Grofin website and created a text file out of it, and created this. So now if I ask what is Grofin, okay, so hopefully it works. Let's see. It's running here. So basically, like what is happening inside is, so it takes the top results from the vector database, Chroma database, and then like it gives that output to the LLM model, in which in this case the GPT model, and then comes up with an output like this. So we can do the same thing for anything. So here it has come up with the answer for what is Grofin. It's an AI powered AI automation platform. So we can also ask, do we have Slack integration? Okay, so every time, so it gets the answer. Yeah, it has Slack integration and so on. So you can collaborate on invoices from multiple places. So yeah, this is a very simple, say, in case if you want to create a very simple chatbot, or a search functionality that's more like human. So this is a simple example. So using this 60 lines of code. So yeah, I mean, please feel free to have a look at the code. So it's there in the GitHub, and if there are any questions as well, like due to the lack of time, I will also answer them. But yeah, I think that is the share. Okay, cool. Yeah, demo is done. So okay, yeah, one thing. This is a very interesting quote by Chip Huyen, who is a ML researcher as well. Like building some cool demos is really easy. So yeah, just like what I showed you now. But if you have to actually build a product with LLMs, right? So we need to be really careful. We need to take into consideration all the points that we looked at to actually build an application or a product using LLMs. So yeah, great. All the best, guys. So these are some of the references, and definitely like a lot of them are already there in the domain. So please feel free to look at them to learn more about the basics. Thank you, everyone. I hope at least that was you were able to understand the basics of the LLM models, and looking forward to multiple applications that are being built by this cohort.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks so much, Sudalai. Amazing session today. A lot of folks were chatting throughout the session on their queries. Some other folks were helping them out with their questions as well. And you
Yeah.
did a great job in explaining it from the fundamentals. So thanks so much. Tanmay, if you could also list down the resources that Sudalai shared so everyone can check it out. And folks, this session will also be live on YouTube for a couple of days. Make sure that you use those resources, read them up, and then watch the session again. You'll be able to uh, grasp it much better. And then, since everyone is getting started, we all need some extra effort from each one of you. And every session, we'll be deep diving even more into Gen AI. So, this was just the beginning, just the fundamentals. And I personally learned a lot today because uh, we we use ChatGPT, we use Bard, Midjourney, a lot of these tools, but never get to understand how they actually work behind the scenes, right? So, great session. We have tons of questions over the so we'll try picking up the best ones and ask them to you. I'll
Sure.
probably kick this off. And yeah, one question that I saw it's on the chat as well, and the community has been asking if I, as a person, want to get started in AI. Obviously, learning and knowledge is fine, but if I want to practically get started in AI, what can I do as my first step or the first few steps to get started in this new journey? Because everything's so new, and you have been doing this for more than a decade now, so you'll be able to tell us better on what should be our first few practical steps in this journey.
Yeah, that's a good question. Really good question, right? So basically, the one thing is, say we can learn through all these sessions. So or like say that one is theoretical knowledge. Obviously, I think the question is more about like once I have gained the theoretical knowledge, what's the next step to gain the practical knowledge? So that's a wonderful question. So like actually like there are multiple places through which we can gain the practical knowledge. So one thing obviously, like if the person is starting with GenAI, so the buildathon is one place that I would definitely recommend. So in general, right, any hackathons are a really good place to learn and do things. So if specifically for AI like or ML, so there are places like Kaggle, like where one can go and pick up a real world problems. So these are like problems and data sets given by actual companies, so we can get an idea of like what sort of problems people are solving and how the different people are solving and so on. So that's one really good place. Hackathons, say similar to Lead Code, Kaggle is for AAML, so we can do that over there. And again, after that, so there are a lot of open source tools that are available, so we can contribute to this open source tools. So like I mean, for example, in this case, so we have LangChain, Llama Index, or like there's a lot of open source packages that are available. So contributing to this open source packages will also help a lot more in depth about this packages, and also contribute to back to the community. So that's another thing. And there are also a lot of social good projects that are available, so which we can take it up and then do it and showcase it. So that's another way. So yeah, so once covering the basics, so do some of these things, and probably not the very common thing like a Titanic project or something which everyone will do. So like it won't be like I mean it's good to learn, but say take something different and contribute to that one, so people will get to understand what's the real value add out of that one. Yeah.
Awesome. Great advice there. Abhay, I'll take one more and then probably you can ask a question.
Sure.
So, like you mentioned about Kaggle, and like you spoke about in the beginning, you're a four-time Kaggle Grandmaster. How did that come about? And you're only among the five people across the globe to have this title. So, how did that come about? If you could share your experience, that'll be great.
Okay, yeah. So that okay, there is no black magic, I would say. So this is a common question that I get very often, right? But yeah, as you rightly mentioned, so I mean, see, if you look at product folks community, right? So there is a lot of hard work that has been going on for the last 5 years to reach the level that we are currently at product folks. So similarly, this is all about the consistency as well. So like after learning the basics, so like spending a good amount of time, so like on like solving problems really help us, I mean help me get that. So it's but it's an interesting thing because day in and day out we learn a lot of new things, so that helps us keep up with the happenings. And also through this, right, so you get to talk to a lot of people around the world, so that was another interesting phenomenon. So you get to learn from the best minds out of the world. So yeah, these are some of the perks that we get along the way.
Amazing, amazing. Abhay, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. So, like, I mean, couple of questions around basically the generic understanding out there that people has about AI. But one that stands out is that in 2023, or let's say in 2022, what exactly has changed? Like, what kind of tectonic shift that has happened towards the world of AI? Be it in terms of, let's say, the entire uh, model understanding, or model training bit has changed, or what exactly has changed so that it has become so much more useful in our day-to-day life, what was not there, let's say, maybe 1.5 2 years or 3 years back. So what exactly has changed in the industry?
Got it, got it. So, like say, especially with respect to this language models, right? As we were talking, so I mean, till last year, so the training was just done to predict only the next word. So what actually happens is it randomly predicts any word. So if you give an input, right? So like when it starts predicting, it will randomly give some random outputs out of it. So though we have the generative model, so we are not able to really get useful results out of those models. So what actually changed last year was this supervised fine tuning, as well as the reinforcement learning. So at times, like even if it's able to give good results, right? So sometimes like what people do is like say they'll try to attack that and provide and make it bad, like through by giving bad inputs, like profane inputs and like say toxic inputs and so on. So all these things were happening. But last year, so this reinforcement learning with human feedback I mean say in addition to supervised fine tuning, so using which like these models are able to identify, okay, so even though there are also toxic inputs or like say random words are not so useful things that are out there, like it's able to understand that these are not good, and like so it was able to tease out only the good correct answers out of all the possible answers and able to give us the good answers. So that part has come in the last year, so which has made this tectonic shift in the whole Gen AI space. Yeah, at a high level. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, do you want to take?
Yeah, yeah, I'll
Sure.
take one more question. So I see a lot of people. So probably 30% of the attendees are engineers, people who are, good with tech, but there are about 70% people who are from non-tech backgrounds, right? So I see a lot of questions framed differently, but they kind of mean the same. That as a non-tech person, how can one get started? Are there no code tools that they can use, or what are some ways in which they can make a dent in this universe?
Okay, so as we saw, right? So I mean, there are a lot of UIs that I mean, say even ChatGPT itself will create all those codes for us. So that's one very good thing. So actually, like we don't. I mean, if we have a very basic understanding, we can use GPT to write all those codes. So if you look at the new code interpreter that the GPT has released last night, I think. So I was able to saw a glimpse of it. So so it was like super awesome. So we get some really amazing results out of that one. So okay, so but I would say yeah. So some if you are to build some applications, right? So on top of this GPT, so we can use it for day-to-day life to like through the chat GPT UI or a mid-journey UI and so on. So if you have to build some applications, uh, I think okay. So this orchestration tools are not that much a low code yet, I guess. So, but it is kind of very simple. So if you know some basic Python, you should be able to do that one. But this space is fast evolving. So I'm sure like we'll have a lot of tools in the near future. So yeah, yeah, but yeah, I am not too sure of any low code no code tool to really build a great application on top of that one, at least currently. But that I don't think that's far.
Yeah, and I think good idea for the buildathon as well to try your hands on building some
Yeah,
low code
but
no
yeah,
code.
there are a lot of people there who are building. So probably someone is already building. It's just that I'm not aware of it. And as you rightly mentioned, it's a good one for a buildathon as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take the next one. So, Sudle, I think you mentioned the entire ecosystem, right? From the vector database, orchestrations, LLM APIs, and there are many other part of the ecosystem also. So, which part of the ecosystem do you see yourself evolving the fastest? Do you see that LLM APIs will probably now we have all the LLM APIs available now? More work will be done on the vector database orchestration side of it, or do you think now all the areas across the entire ecosystem will grow at the same pace?
That's a really good question. So, but okay, at least my personal opinion is all the spaces will continue to grow. I mean, though we have some good, say, improvements on the API space as well, right? So, though it's still not mature. So, as we can see, like even all these, I mean, board models or GPT models are also getting improved versions every alternate weeks or so. So and also people are building these models for specific use cases, like say for healthcare, for fintech, or even for code generation and so on. So the LLM APIs will continue to evolve as well, and obviously like these orchestration tools. Currently, we have a lot of tools there, but there are a lot of other things that we can add on top of that one. So that will evolve to better DBs or form an integral part. So I see everything will evolve. So I don't think like we reached a phase where something is matured and the other parts only will evolve on top of that one.
Got it, got it. And one more question from my side is also continuing on the work with AI bit, right? I mean, well, for last few months, like there has been discussion, at least around that, how will work evolve, like individual working in the world of AI, right? I mean, many people or many discussion has been around that whether it will create some sort of, firing in terms of people not required to get the job done, or people need to get evolved themselves with the skills that AI specifically require. Like you basically have a AI co-pilot in each and every segment of the work that you are doing. So, like, what is your take on that bit?
Yeah, so I think like it's more around, it's kind of a pair programming. So if you know, like from an engineering standpoint, it's like a pair program is how I see the AI to be. Like at least I also use it as a kind of a pair programmer. So where like some basic simple stuff. So I kind of are like, say if something is new, ask these models. So you get a like head start, so like head start and doing something really fast, and then you perfect that. So the head start can be done using this gpt based models or any llm models, and then we improve on top of that one. That's how I see it evolving. I mean, in its current version, right, as we also saw, there is a lot of hallucinations that's happening. So in real life, right? So I asked once GPT, like when I was creating an API from for a particular thing. So I asked GPT, and it came up with a really good API URL endpoint. But actually, when I went there, it was not even present for that particular product. So it's super hallucinating. So yeah, we can't really use it directly for alone. So it's like a good pair programmer which we can use it to create some basic ones, and then we build on top of that.
Great.
So yeah.
So the like another question that I had was, so when we used ChatGPT for the first time, our minds were blown, right? It was so good. Are there any other tools that are not as popular but you have found it to be really cool that you can share with us? Because you probably would be even 10 steps ahead than us in exploring new tools and playing around with different AI tools. So is there anything that we can check out that you would recommend?
Okay, so I mean, definitely not the, I mean, not to the levels of ChatGPT, right? As you mentioned, so that is something that has taken everyone by storm. So because of that, I mean, there are good tools depending on the different domains that we are currently using, right? So, for example, so the code interpreter that got released yesterday, so it was super awesome to, like, especially for a data scientist or a MLA engineer, right? So you just upload a data set, and then it was able to produce all these graphs by itself. Like for, I mean, say if it takes some analysts like to build those graphs and statistical distributions and so on. So like rather you just upload a data and it automatically comes up with all the distributions of the data and the statistical graphs and everything. So that's something that's really interesting, that's out there. And there are a lot of folks, I mean, in India as well, like building a lot of interesting tools on top of LLM models, or are building their own LLM models as well. So most of them are also in the stealth mode. So we'll also get to see those fantastic tools soon in the future. And I hope to see some more from our GenAI Rush cohort as well.
Awesome, awesome. Alright, do you want to take the next one?
Yes, sure. Few folks have asked questions around price point, and few of the tools that are being basically paid, right? In terms of Chat GPT, base version is free, but there is Chat GPT plus. Then same goes for Mid Journey also, that in case you want to use the features of Mid Journey, you need to have a paid access to it, and things like that. So what are the absolutely free tools other than Chat GPT that you know of that is available, people can still explore, and without having to cost them to the pocket? I mean, there's been few questions that are asked this.
Yeah, that's that's a good question, right? So, okay, so like with respect to the LLM models, right? So yeah, apart from the ChatGPT API, so Hugging Face hosts a bunch of LLMs on their platform. So if you go to Hugging Face, So their API is also free. So I like Hugging Face is one of the APIs that I shown in the like deck as well. So we can make use of some of the LLM APIs out of Hugging Face and test out our hypothesis. And so there are a lot of open source models that has come up in the recent past as well. So I think there is this leaderboard by lmsys.org, I guess lmsys.org if I'm not wrong. So like where we can look at some of the open source LLM models that are available. So we can make, I mean, and they also do a leaderboard and give a score of like how each model is performing compared to the other models and so on. So we can look at some of those models and use those models. So that is one thing. And with respect to the image generation, so like the Hugging Face also have a stable diffusion demo like that has been posted in their thing, which is free, so we can make use of that too. So like I think I also had that link in the slide deck, so probably if someone is interested in the image part, so we can make use of that.
Awesome. We are probably 10 minutes over time right now. So we'll probably have just one last question, Abhay. I'll, I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. Please take.
Awesome. Awesome. So Sudalai, just to sum it up, a lot of young folks joining in the cohort, and even folks who have experience are young in this field, right? Everything is pretty much new for all of us. What are your key top three key advices for each of us who are getting started in this new journey? You have been doing this for a while now, so you're probably the best person to let us know what to avoid, what to do, and what not to do as well. So, any key pieces of advice that you could share with us before we wrap this up?
Okay, so I mean, generally for folks starting with AI, right? That's the question, right, Aditya? Okay, okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, that's a. I mean, say as someone also asked, right? So it's one thing is good to have a theoretical knowledge, especially with respect to the AI part. So I would strongly recommend people to do some hands-on, like do. I mean, say it could be as simple as say if you are to try this prompt engineering techniques, right? So I mean, being a product person, so we could use something like a chat GPT UI to try out those prompts to see like how what is the output that is coming out of it. It's just that like we if we have to build a UI, so we can use someone to do that one. So that's going to be the simple part. The most important part is like we need to make use of the prompt to build a right product. So like one thing is learning, so actually you putting it into work to see how it performs in a practical manner is really really important. So for young folks I would strongly suggest that like uh, build a lot of things and break a lot of things, so like that's how we will learn. So that's definitely that. And so since a lot of also product folks and non-tech folks that are present in our cohort, right? So other thing is say we also have to be, I mean, as I mentioned, really careful about integrating this. So there are a lot of moving parts that are there with respect to the GenAI 4 models, like when we put them into production. So do consider it about all these things and take a whole picture before putting things into production. Yeah. So that's another thing.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sudalai. We couldn't have asked for a better start to the cohort, and I'm pretty sure people will use these fundamentals to learn more in the days to come in the sessions that are lined up. So thanks so much from the entire community. You will see a lot of comments and reactions going off right now. Folks, please show your love for the session and tag Sudalai in your post as well so that he can see your notes and come across your learnings on LinkedIn. So awesome, Abhay. Any final words?
Yeah, I think pretty good start of the entire cohort. And so, like in the chat section, also you can see people have provided pretty good feedback that they have been able to learn a thing or two, or at least multiple things out of this. And they've been asking, they'll probably rewatch the session, watch the recording of the session to gather all the insights that you have presented in your presentation. So, super thanks for that.
So thanks a lot, team, like for inviting me to the session. I'm really glad that, like say, it has been helpful for a lot of folks. So I'm looking forward to a lot of cool ideas, products, features that are coming out of this cohort. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you as part of the Buildathon as well. That's happening in Bangalore later this month. But thanks again for joining us. Before we let you go, Sudalai, if you could just post for a quick picture so that people can use this to share it on social.
Yeah.
Awesome. There we go. There we go.
Nice.
Amazing start to the session. Sudalai, we'll let you go now. Thanks
Thank you.
again for joining us. We'll be online for a bit to answer any queries about the cohort. But thanks again. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining the session today. So it's amazing to see all of you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Awesome, folks. That's about it for the first session. How did you like it? Please let us know in the feedback form that Tanmay has shared. Personally, a huge fan of Sudalai and his learnings. So got to learn a lot. Hopefully that it's the same with you folks as well. Please do rewatch it on YouTube along with the resources shared so that you can get to learn it even better. We have
Yeah.
shared all the links here. Tanmay has shared it on the chat. We have pinned it as well. But let us know your feedback and don't forget to share your notes on social, on LinkedIn and Twitter. You know what to do. Use the hashtag learn with TPF, tag at the product folks, tag Sudalai as well, and we'll pick winners and we'll send you amazing stuff your way. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Tag TPF, tag Sudlay. Post your notes, post your learning. I think so many people, Adi in the chat have pointed out that the session was maybe a bit technical heavy for them. I'll probably give just a 30 seconds answer on that. The entire field of AI is a bit tech heavy. To be honest, like everyone is currently who do not come from the tech background, who do not come from the engineering background per se, they are currently undergoing the learning cycle of learning the basics of AI, basics of ML, basics of how LLM works, basics of how vector and other entire ecosystem works to figure out what is best suited for them. So I think the recommendation is that you get to learn the basics from these sessions. We are trying to keep these sessions as basics as possible. We'll share some of the resources also. You do keep an eye out on the pre-read email that we send before the session. So before the next session, we will be sending certain resources. Do come prepared by reading the resources, reading the articles, watching the videos, so you have some idea. But all we here, trying to make sure is that once we reach to the end of the cohort, you are pretty much aware with the entire basics of AI. You are also pretty much aware of the entire current ecosystem out there in AI. What are the tools available? How best to use it? And we'll have certain workshops in terms of the practical applicability of the certain tools also, right? So many people were actually surprised today after seeing that we can actually use chat gpt with temperature and other modifications. So we'll have certain workshops around that, so that you can use tools to the best use that you require, and it is useful in your day-to-day life, in your journey, in your career, in your work. Yeah.
absolutely. I see some questions around the TPF swag kit. I know, folks, you all want to get your hands on it ASAP. But all you need to do is share your learnings and notes on social and tag us like I shared. So nothing else. And
Yeah, we have pretty cool swags actually. I just got a look at it yesterday itself. It's a pretty cool swag. You would like a stack.
absolutely, Aarti says that if anyone's building products and need investors, let her know. So please do connect with her, folks who are into building in the AI space. And I see questions around some common questions around the cohort, right? So just to summarize it, it'll be a 2 week cohort. It'll have multiple sessions. To know the exact schedule and curriculum, please refer to the knowledge base. You'll find the link pinned in the chat here. And the recording of the session will be on YouTube for a couple of days. We understand that it's a slightly more technical, so we'll ensure that we'll keep it for a few more days as compared to our previous cohorts. So you'll be able to rewatch it. We'll also be able to share resources and pre-reads so that you come better equipped in each of these sessions, and make sure that you have a Google tab open while you are watching the session so that you can quickly keep asking your queries and learn, or for that matter, chat GPT, right? So, so that you can keep learning on the side uh, for any new term that you come across during the session, right? We aren't able to tag you on email. It can be a problem. Just use at the rate the space product space folks. That's how you'll be able to find the handle. But but yeah, I was talking about the YouTube link. It will stay on for a bit, so make sure
Yeah.
you watch that. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, I don't need to say what to do. Please hit that subscribe button so that we are doing a lot of podcast episodes these days. So if you're in product management or if you're a founder, you'll find a lot of good content out there, right? And if you're not a part of our Slack yet, make sure that you join the right Slack channels for AI. You'll have all the info on email, the knowledge base, pretty much everywhere. If not, reach out to any of us and we'll guide you. But yeah, that's a little bit about the course, about the buildathon. So a lot of people were curious about the buildathon. So this is something that we are doing for the first time because, like Sudalai also mentioned, the best way to learn about AI is to also apply it, and it also make sure that you can use your learnings and then build products on top of it, right? So that's the idea behind the buildathon. We have amazing prizes to be won, lots of credits, a bunch of OpenAI credits as well. So make sure you participate. It's happening offline in Bangalore. So people who are from different parts of the country might have to travel if you wish to participate. But I definitely feel that it will be worth it if you are looking for a career in the AI space. I'll also share a few more details. Just give me.
Yeah. Buildathon is going to be pretty exciting, folks. I think if you're still not registered, we have shared the link multiple times. Do register for it. The entire learnings that you are going to have in this cohort, you can apply it real time, apply it in real world with real world examples. As Sudalai mentioned today, by uploading a file and creating his own project, kind of a small LLM project for himself, you can also do the same, or build some different project, right? You can build a different kind of a use case altogether in the buildathon. Yep.
Can a non-tech person be part of a buildathon? Yes, you can, but you will need to find a team where there are tech folks, right? So we allow teams of up to 4 members. So you can be a designer, you can be a product person, and you can have an engineer or 2 engineers as part of your overall team, right? And if you can see my screen here, some quick for people who have been attending our cohorts, this is not something new for all of you, but for those who are attending it for the first time, make sure that you join our Slack and WhatsApp. You'll find, by the way, you'll find all of these links pinned in the chat and on your email. So head there to find the links. You can watch out for AirMeet invites. So make sure that you move our emails to your primary inbox so that you are always notified about a new session that's coming up. I think the next one's happening on Tuesday. And make sure that you check the calendar to know the entire schedule, right? Track graduation milestones, check the Notion and bookmark. That's where you'll find access to all the information out there, right? And you can also update your LinkedIn bio, that cohort member at TPF GenAI 23, so that others will be able to reach out to you and others will get to know that you are learning as part of this cohort. Right? And go through the weekly agenda. We'll be sharing it on Slack, and it's also part of the knowledge base. So make sure that you run through the weekly agenda. And now coming to the main part, how do you graduate from the GenAI cohort and receive the certificate? I know a lot of you are curious about certificates, but folks, certificates are always secondary, like we say in the product folks. Primary is always to learn and have those learnings with you as part of your experience. But we understand the importance of certificates as well, and as part of the milestone to graduate from GenAI Rush Cohort. By the way, it's completely free. So all you need to do is attend all the live sessions and post your learnings after every session on LinkedIn and Twitter. Use the right hashtag, tag us so that we get to know, right? So this is all that you need to do in order to graduate from this cohort and receive the certificate. I hope that answers your question. On both platforms, if you can, it's great. If you're only on LinkedIn, you can do it on LinkedIn. If you're only on Twitter, you can do it on Twitter. So use either of these platforms, but make sure that you use the hashtag and tag us so that we consider those as part of your submissions, right? And these submissions will also be eligible to win exciting prizes that we have for each session, right? Only people who graduate can participate in Buildathon. Of course, you need to have the right
That's
kind
the
of
main
learning.
criteria.
Yeah, and this is the reason why we have it in two different stages, and there's a gap in between, right? So our sessions will wrap up probably more than a week before the buildathon, so that you'll have ample time to uh, like sharpen your basic skills and be ready for the buildathon that will happen, right? So I don't know how to code. Not a challenge at all. Like someone shared, you can use some no-code tools that are available as well. But you can also team up with other engineers. So head to our Slack channel. That's where you'll find others who are part of this cohort as well, and people who are looking to participate in the buildathon. Like we saw in the beginning of the session, probably 30 to 40% of the people here are engineers, right? So you'll definitely find developers in the mix and make sure that you can team up well by having product managers, designers, developers, and others to make it a very holistic team. And in terms of prizes, we have prizes worth more than 6 lakhs. And on top of that, you'll also be eligible for credits. So every participating team will have credits from OpenAI given to them as part of the buildathon. Make sure you participate in that. How many kits will you send? So every session we'll shortlist winners and we'll announce those winners in upcoming sessions. So don't worry about that. You'll get to know all about it in the forthcoming sessions. All you need to do from your end is share your learnings on social, right? Is it mandatory for all team members to be a part of this cohort? Ideally, yes. But
Yes.
in case if you find your friends who are not part of the cohort, you can prompt them to join it so that they can also join in. But please feel free to start building your teams on Hack to Skill. Uh, Sanjay from our
Yes.
team has pinned the link in chat, so make sure that you sign up right away. And
On Hack to Skill platform, basically you have the team formation options. So one of you can sign up as a team member, and second person and other members would be able to join later. You can invite your team members also. You can edit it anytime you want. All you need to do for now is go to this platform, Hack to Skill website, participate, register yourself in the hackathon, and you will receive subsequent communication email. Do keep an eye out on subsequent emails, because there will be certain deadlines for that also. In Buildathon, you need to submit ideas on the platform. You need to submit and finalize your team also on the same. So do keep eye out on all the communication that are being sent over emails.
absolutely. I think we have pretty much covered all the questions,
Yes.
but
Any
folks,
any
yeah,
last few
basic housekeeping.
questions?
Yeah, please feel free to share here. Otherwise, we are all active on social, on Slack as well. And thank you so much for attending on a Saturday night, and it's pretty late in India here, but we have people joining in from all parts of the world, and the speakers that we bring, the schedule
What if
is
I'm
pretty packed.
alone? Will team be created there? No, Priyanshu. I think teams will not be created offline in a buildathon. If you are alone, you can participate alone. That's completely okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
and we get the PPT for the session. So all of it will be part of the academy when we release it later. But for now, you can simply watch the YouTube recording, right? So along with the PPT, you will also get to hear the session. So that's the best way to rewatch right now. A
Yeah. Is it
lot of
mandatory to
people are,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Is it mandatory to participate after the entire cohort? I think the buildathon will be a good learning experience with a real world problem statement solving skills. So it is 100% recommended that once you finish the cohort, you submit your ideas and go through the buildathon and participate in it.
Correct. And a lot of folks are asking if it is online. No, this is happening offline in Bangalore
Yes,
at
in
the end
Bangalore.
of this month, 29th and 30th July. So if you're planning to attend, please make sure that you book your travel tickets right away along with your team once
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
fully
yeah.
listed. And of course, we are definitely looking forward to see you. Which place in Bangalore? We'll share all the details over email in the
Announce
coming
soon.
days. So make sure that you have an eye out on emails. Move the emails to the primary inbox so that you get notified every time there's a new update about the cohort. And anyone from Pune planning to join, folks, please do share this in the Slack channel so that is where you'll find people from all parts of the country. You can team up, you can travel together, stay together, probably, hopefully make new friends as part of the process as well.
Yes.
But great to see people so excited about the buildathon. This is something that we are doing for the first time, and we definitely hope it will be beneficial for you as you build products after using your learnings on the cohort. So super excited for that personally. Any
Absolutely.
other questions?
Yeah, a lot of people I think here are asking or trying to get a teammate or something. I think will recommend some steps towards it in case you are looking for someone to join or you are looking to participate alone or things like that. But do keep in mind that the dates are already fixed 29th 30th of July this month, happening in Bangalore. So that is already fixed. Now you need to come up with your idea and be present.
Awesome, folks. We are pretty much 2 hours in, so we'll not extend this any further. I hope we were able to answer all your questions about the cohort and the buildathon, and definitely hope you enjoyed
Also,
today's
if you
session
have
as well.
any recommendations or suggestions in terms of what exactly you want us to cover in next few sessions, do let us know in the chat section. We'll try to see if we can cover it. Yeah, Vivek, yes, happening in Bangalore to be live. Yes, do let us know in case you have any specific recommendations. If you want to cover any tools, any learnings, any specific company, any specific part of the ecosystem that you want to learn. Deep dive on orchestrations. Yeah,
Someone has asked about OpenAI credit. So, folks, we'll to the shortlisted teams, we'll also be giving OpenAI credits.
for the
So
build.
don't worry about that. Yeah, this is for the buildathon. So don't worry about that. And I think we also have ChatGPT Plus subscriptions to be won as part of the challenge. Learn with TPF challenge. So make sure you
I think
participate
we
in
can
that.
go to the rewards section or reward section of the PPT in case people might have missed for the last one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we have pretty exciting prizes in case you have not been able to had a chance to go through it at the start of the session. Yep. So do register it right away, and you will receive further communications over your emails. Many folks who are asking if we can do online, people can participate remotely. Unfortunately, we are doing this offline for this one. For sure, we are going to do multiple hackathons, multiple buildathons in the future. So for next one, we'll for sure try to have it in the online format, hybrid format, so that people who is outside of the location can also participate, and it will be fun for everyone to participate and watch and build together. Yep.
Awesome, folks. That's pretty much all from our side. Thanks again for joining and making it an amazing start. Lots more to come in the next few days. So, super excited to see you all as part of the cohort. We'll all learn together and make sure that you come on Airmeet. It's a little more fun chatting with all of you, being a part of the same cohort, interacting with each other. Always much
Yes.
more fun than doing it async. So thanks again for joining. We'll sign off now, and we definitely hope you have a great weekend ahead. Uh,
Sure. I think, yeah, me and Adi will sign off. Bye bye. See you next session.